it looked to us from every angle, sir, that he was approached by them when he was helping another individual who was pushed down. What evidence do you have that he was assaulting any law enforcement?
Dana, we don't need a suspect's help in an active law enforcement scene.
When you say suspect, what is he suspected of?
That's an active law enforcement scene. He knew that was an active law enforcement scene, especially when the officers approached him, and it's very evident he did not need to be where he was. Calling law enforcement names like Gestapo or using the term kidnapping, that is a choice that is made. There are actions and consequences that come from those choices. When someone chooses to listen to a politician, a so-called journalist, a community leader that spouted that type of vilification towards law enforcement or anything else, when you choose to listen to that, that is a choice, and there are consequences and actions there also. I think we saw that yesterday.
Go home. United States Postal Service.
What's up, everybody? Major Retired Richard Ojeda here, and through snow, sleet, driving rain, and the occasional flip-off of ice from behind the wheel, the United States Postal Service always delivers. And this was a special delivery that had all of us saying, find that man and give him a raise. And while millions of viewers across social media thought it was hilarious, appropriate, or perfect for the moment, MAGA with their fragile ego was having an absolute meltdown, completely losing their minds over a mailman telling ICE which stop to get off at.
When somebody is pushed down and a person's instinct is to help that person, when somebody's pushed down by law enforcement, you're saying that you just stand back and let law enforcement do what they're doing?
You know, Dana, every situation is different. What our officers are faced with here in Minneapolis are chaotic, very difficult and violent situations in which individuals, and this suspect is not the only one to bring a loaded weapon to a riot. The situations are chaotic and ever-changing. Follow directions for law enforcement. Don't inject yourself knowingly beforehand into a law enforcement situation.
And while the clowns in MAGAland were calling for the postal worker to be fired, the same way they've demanded people lose their jobs for saying anything negative about Charlie Kirk, they once again found themselves on the wrong side of history. In the span of a single year, MAGA has traded in family values for cruelty and gone from don't tread on me to comply or die. But don't bring it up or point out facts because they throw a hissy fit. MAGA sure can dish it out, but they definitely can't take it when they get a taste of their own medicine.
With respect, it feels as though in some ways you're blaming the victim here.
The victims are the Border Patrol agents. I'm not blaming the Border Patrol agents. The victim are the Border Patrol agents. The suspect put himself in that situation. The victims are the Border Patrol agents there.
MAGA isn't actually mad about disrespect. They're mad about people refusing to stay quiet, standing up for themselves. And you can see that same rage playing out in real time with this Trump bootlicker who absolutely cannot handle the idea that women are banding together, comparing notes, and exposing ICE agents.
Well, we have these radical women who are using dating apps to trap ICE agents and to expose their information. So that is beyond bugging me. That's criminal. That is insane. I couldn't believe what I was reading, but that's what's reported in the New York Post.
That's right. What do you think, Dennis? And why is your wife up on those dating agencies?
The moment people stop lowering their heads and start telling the truth out loud, MAGA completely loses it. Because exposure is the one thing that they cannot control. And the meltdown she's having tells you everything you need to know about what women are rejecting right now. Women don't want chaos. They want stability. They want families. They want someone they can trust. Not some rage-baiting MAGA lunatic who listens to conspiracy podcasts and moves through life like a tornado, never once stopping to see the harm that they've left behind. They don't want that. They're tired of chaos masquerading as masculinity. They're tired of instability being sold as strength. Tired of men who demand loyalty, respect, and submission while offering nothing but anger, resentment, and broken promises promises in return. And let's be clear about what set this all off. Supposedly, a woman in Massachusetts made a claim on social media that she was part of a coordinated effort targeting ICE agents on dating apps with the sole intention of exposing them online. That story ran in the New York Post, and that's when conservative MAGA pundit Deneen Borelli, a regular on Newsmax, went on air screaming that these women are radical and that they were trapping ICE agents. She claimed what they were doing was criminal and insane, a full-blown conniption fit. The fake outrage was dripping off of her like hot butter. And it didn't stop there. While the New York Post was busy setting MAGA off, they also reported that some of the exposure involved the dating app Grindr, which of course sent MAGA into an even deeper panic spiral. Every time there's a big Republican convention or gathering, Grindr mysteriously crashes. This time it freaked them out so badly that DHS officials jumped in early to do damage control, with Tricia McLaughlin publicly threatening prosecution for anyone involved. Think about that for a second. All of this happened because women refused to stay quiet and decided they don't want any of these MAGA jerks anywhere near their lives. And that's the part that these bootlickers can't understand. They're so self-centered, so consumed with their own ego, they literally cannot process rejection. No law was broken, nobody was harmed, but women talked to each other. They compared notes, they protected one another. What's really so wrong with that? And Borelli isn't furious because this is illegal. She's mad because she lost control of the narrative. The mask slipped, fakers got found out, women decided they weren't going to put up with this crap anymore, and they absolutely shouldn't. Because at the core of this is a moral issue, and nobody wants that kind of chaos in their life. And that's why it has to be painful for a mother or anyone to realize that someone you love has chosen a path that hurts other people.
Did you know that the big wireless carriers like Verizon and AT&T made over $18 billion in profit last year? How? By overcharging you for unlimited data, most of which you probably aren't even using. But what if you could get paid to use your phone less and only pay for the data you do use? Well, with Noble Mobile, you can. For just $50 a month on their No Bull plan, you get unlimited data, and whatever data you don't use, you get cash back right in your pocket. People who switch to Noble can save an average of $500 to $1,000 a year. It's a no-brainer. And by switching to Noble, you're directly supporting TYT and our mission of bringing you honest, independent news. So give Noble a try and make the switch today. Scan the QR code on the screen now or visit go.tyt.com/plan. That's go.tyt.com/plan.
To the kids that are doxing their dads as ICE agents, I want to say something that they have never said to you. I love you, and I'm proud of you.
A son that's an ICE agent?
Yes.
Oh, I'm really happy. I'm really happy that I gave you you an opportunity to ask your question. Please ask away.
Well, I'm not allowed to talk about it openly to friends and family. I need some advice from a young man that I follow, that I respect. I love your content. I'm not a Trump supporter, so if you want to knock me down, I understand. He is a Trump supporter, unfortunately, and I'm not sure what to do as a mom.
Yeah.
I don't agree with it. I'm very angry. I'm very hurt. He won't speak to me because he and his wife know the way I feel about it.
Imagine investing years into your child, a spouse, or someone you deeply care about, only to realize that the values you thought were shared no longer exist in the same way. These moments don't come with clean answers. They're emotional, they're messy, and they are absolutely complicated. And they leave real scars. That's why hearing from the mother of an ICE agent talking to Dean Withers actually matters. And this is where it all stops being amusing. This is where it stops being about MAGA imbeciles, meltdowns, fake outrage, and pundits screaming on social media. Because imagine carrying that kind of heartbreak around with you, whether it's through divorce or being a parent who can't even talk to their own child anymore. Not because you don't love them, but because the the ideological divide is so deep that every conversation turns into pain or regret. Imagine waking up every day knowing your child is out there doing something you believe is wrong, something cruel, something that hurts people, destroys lives, and inflicts suffering on innocent children and American citizens. Imagine that grief, that quiet sadness, that gnawing ache that never really goes away. That goes beyond politics. That's heartbreak. And that's the real cost of all this chaos. MAGA and ICE don't just tear communities apart, they tear families apart too. And that's why these heart-wrenching stories matter. Because even in the middle of all of this pain, people are still standing up. And right now, while we still can, we should be standing on street corners, exercising our First Amendment rights. We should be organizing, refusing to stay silent, and protecting one another. People across this country are drawing lines. And yeah, that postal worker who finally had enough and told ICE what millions of people were already thinking, that guy deserves a raise. Because resistance comes in many forms. Sometimes it shows up on a dating app. Sometimes it shows up in a white United States Postal Service truck. Sometimes it shows up in a parent who refuses to lie to themselves about what's being done in their name. And that is what real American values actually look like. And that is an absolute fact. Sappers clear the way, airborne all the way.